companies are racing to get into the Bitcoin 100. Used to be, we thought, oh, it'd be great. There's 10 Bitcoin companies and 20. Now there's 100. Now there's more than 100. Now we're all going to compete to move up the leaderboard. Yeah, let the games begin.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. And you just saw that clip of Michael Saylor. That was from his Bitcoin presentation in BTC Prague. There was a Bitcoin conference in Europe over the past week, and that's where that came from. And that was part of Michael's presentations. But I know if you guys have been watching our channel for any time, that chart is made by Hodl15BTC. Shout out to him over on Twitter. And we have been showing you guys that chart probably for the past 6, 8, 10 months on our channel. At least I know I've been showing that in my videos. So it's really interesting to see that Saylor is looking at some of the same charts that we're looking at. So we're going to be getting into some of the Bitcoin treasuries, updating you guys there, updating you guys with strategy, MTPLF. So stay tuned to the end. A lot of useful information in today's video, but you can see strategy with a bit of a slow week here, 26,245 BTC this week. This is all coming from STRF and STRK. So good to see there that these products are still getting some inflows. It's looking like they're going to be laying off of the MSTR ATM for a little bit, maybe until the MNAV gets back above 2 before we see any more MSTR ATM. Right now, it looks like they're just focusing on hitting STRF and STRK. And the STRD ATM is probably coming very soon. We'll keep you guys up to date as we get new announcements around that. And then looking at the most actively traded U.S. stocks for today, with the market open in the U.S., it's been open for around an hour and a half at the time of this recording. And you can see strategy still up here in the top 15 with around $2.32 billion of actively traded volume already today. Really good to see there. And then looking at the top companies in the U.S. by market cap, strategy is at $102 billion, trading at 367. We are down to 98, still in the top 100 companies. And this is really important. The end of June for BTC has to stay above around $97,000 so that strategy on their next earnings call, they will show that they have erased their 4 previous quarters of negative earnings. And if Bitcoin stays above around 97,000, they should show all those negative earnings will be erased and they'll have their first positive quarter. And that is one of the things they need to do to be potentially included in the S&P 500. They would check all the boxes. Last thing to happen would just be the committee would have to include them in the S&P, and that would probably happen somewhere around September to potentially all the way to December. And that would cause the stock to get a lot of inflows. You saw it happen with Coinbase. You guys can check that out. But it's really, really bullish for strategy if Bitcoin can stay above around $97,000, $98,000 before the end of the month on the June 30th close. And they now have 592,000 Bitcoin, 345 BTC. But really interesting, MTPLF Metaplanet, they actually bought more Bitcoin this week than strategy did. They bought 1,111 Bitcoin, and now they have 11,111 BTC. So if you have been not paying attention to what's going on with Metaplanet, MTPLF, I recommend you guys dive deep into MTPLF. This company is following the Saylor MicroStrategy playbook to a T, and they are accumulating a massive amount of Bitcoin. They've done it in a short amount of time, and they've had some huge gains. And going forward, I think they'll be able to get more and more Bitcoin by the end of the year. They want at least 30K. I think they may outshoot that, not financial advice. But if they do that, you could see some big gains in that stock. And then an update from the blockchain group, altbg. They just bought another 75 Bitcoin. altbg is a Bitcoin treasury company in France, and they have been following the Saylor strategy playbook. And what's really interesting about the blockchain group and MTPLF is the blockchain group looks like they're following Metaplanet's returns. If you look at when the blockchain group got started versus when Metaplanet got started, which is like a 6 to 7 month gap, and you look at where Metaplanet was 6 to 7 months ago, it's right where the blockchain group is right now. So 6 months from now, 7 months from now, the blockchain group could be where Metaplanet is. And if that happens, that could be some explosive gains for the stock. So that's something to watch out for. And this is a chart that we have been showing you guys on our channel, one that Saylor showed during that presentation here. and it's really hard to keep up with all these stocks. You can see some of the companies that have been stacking here. Looking at the green arrows, these are companies that stacked in the past week: Strategy, Metaplanet, Congo, the blockchain group, altbg, BitDeer. This is a Bitcoin miner. Maluz in Brazil. You have the SmarterWeb company. They have been doing very great. I highly recommend you guys check out SWC. They are a company in the UK. NAP Holdings, they're over in Japan. H100 Group. And what's interesting about the H100 Group, kind of how I described altbg and Metaplanet, H100 Group looks like they're following altbg, what they done in a short amount of time. So watch out for H100. They've been able to accumulate a lot of Bitcoin in a short amount of time. They just started last month. And I think a month from now, they're going to continue to climb this list, and they may even get 1,000 BTC. And you know, once these companies obtain at least 1,000 Bitcoin, there are a couple ETFs out there that they will then get some passive flows from just because they hold 1,000 Bitcoin. CoinCM Group, this stock has done very well. People are investing in this one. You have Vanity Coffee. This is actually the first Bitcoin treasury company in Spain, and they're saying that they could potentially raise up to $1 billion. They have a shareholder vote on June 29th that if that gets approved, which it probably will, they may have $1 billion of funds to allocate to Bitcoin. Right now, they're around a $15 million company. So just do the math. If they can obtain $1 billion of Bitcoin, where that would take the market cap, you guys can do the math on that one. That's not financial advice. K33, we did an interview with their CEO. They're up-and-coming company in Sweden. So just a lot going on. Like Saylor said, the game has started. All these companies are racing to get Bitcoin before the other ones, guys. So this is going to cause a Bitcoin supply shock, in my personal opinion, and the Bitcoin gold rush is on. And you see Anthony Pompliano, he announced a $750 million fundraise this morning as a part of a $1 billion merger. The goal is to build a leading Bitcoin native financial services firm. So what he's going to be doing is the same as all these other Bitcoin treasury strategies companies, raising money to buy more Bitcoin. So we'll keep you guys up to date with what Pomp is going to be doing with CCCM. And then you have Vinaz Ltd. This is a Bitcoin treasury company that has just exploded today, up 128%. These are the new altcoins, guys. As you can see, all these companies are performing very well. Invest at your own risk, but it does seem like we're in the early days of these companies obtaining BTC, and all this is very, very bullish for Bitcoin. And then the last thing I want to talk about before I end the video is the war. In my opinion, guys, that's something that is completely out of our control, whether the United States leadership or the Iranian leadership or the Israeli leadership decides to wage war with one another. And if they drop nuclear bombs on one another, if it gets really bad and it turns to World War III and China and Russia get involved and all that, you're not going to really be worried about your Bitcoin investments. You're going to be worried about if you have guns and ammo to be able to protect yourself, getting food, getting running water. That would be a apocalyptic type of world that we'd be living in, and you just want to be safe. So you won't be really worried about your investments. So when investments go down because that happens, it's not anything that we can really control. But hopefully all this stops, and once that stops, the market's going to go back up. And even if there is a war, people are going to forget about the war eventually because it's not in their face, and the money printer is going to go up because they're going to have to fund the war, so that's going to make investments go up. So in terms of investing, you should invest on these dips. If there's more announcements about war, the market will sell off more, and that will just be another buying opportunity. So that's my thoughts there. Hopefully the war ends sooner than later. But thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. My name is Aaron from the Bitcoin Bros. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and have a great rest of your day.